Hey guys, it's Megan, and if you are new to my channel, I am so glad that you're here. I am here to talk to you today just in kind of a sit down, real kind of talk all about homeschool fails. This is actually a collaboration with Joy Cherick. She is our host. There are several other channels and several other mamas involved. I will pop a slide up that has all of their names listed, but make sure that you check out the playlist down below so that you can watch their videos as well. I'm sure it's going to be very encouraging, and I can't wait to watch the other ladies' videos. We are going to talk about homeschool failures, homeschool fails, whatever you want to call it. Things that don't work in your homeschool is the way I like to say it. So maybe you've ended this year, or maybe you even started this year feeling like a failure, or like this didn't work and that didn't work, and you felt like everything failed. Or maybe that's what's holding you back from homeschooling, is because you feel like you will be a failure. But that's not true either. There are no two homeschools that look alike. And trying to recreate someone else's homeschool can be a detriment to your own. So that is my first fail I want to talk about. So two parts to this. Number one, I taught public school for many years. There are parts of public school that were very ingrained in me. And so when I came home and started homeschooling, my first fail was actually trying to recreate the school atmosphere and schedule and all that kind of stuff. That was my first fail. It didn't work. And I found that out very quickly. And at first, it was kind of shocking to me. And then thankfully, a couple of friends of mine that also homeschool kind of put me in my place with it all and assured me that that's completely normal, that didn't work at home, because we're homeschooling, not school at home. So the other part to this is that there are certain styles and methods and activities and all that kind of stuff that I would see and I would want to implement and I would want to emulate and all that kind of stuff. And I still see those sometimes, and it can be very tempting sometimes. And there's nothing wrong with trying new things. I just want to say that. But when they didn't work for our homeschool, I started to have kind of a guilt complex. Don't force something that doesn't work. What works for the person that you're friends with or that you see on a YouTube channel or someone else's YouTube channel, if it doesn't work for your family, then don't force it. So the other fail for us, and this also happened in my actually it was my second year of homeschooling that this happened, but I didn't recognize it until my third year of homeschooling. And that was that I overscheduled us big time. I don't know that my kids necessarily felt it, but I did. It was very overwhelming to me. So the way that I overscheduled us was because we are part of a co-op that meets weekly. My kids take 5 classes there every Monday. So that in itself is a lot. Now, what I try to do is I try to methodically choose, because they do offer classes like IEW. My son's grammar class this year was taught there on Mondays, and then we would just complete the work at home during the week. So I try to kind of methodically choose either that for like academic subjects, or I choose purely enrichment things that we don't have to continue at home throughout the week, or if we do, we do very little. So that already takes like a full day away from us at home with our studies, which is fine if it just stays to that. But I also added another homeschool group on Fridays those first 2 years of homeschooling. And as much as I loved and enjoyed that so much, it became very overwhelming at times, because I was trying to shuffle very, very young children to basically 2 different co-ops during the week, and then that would only give us 3 solid days at home, and sometimes those 3 solid days would have interruptions because they are so young, and that kind of stuff. So it just led to the point of me being extremely stressed and just very overwhelmed. And I didn't get to really focus on educating my children those 2 years as much as what I could have. It didn't cause any kind of detrimental effects or anything like that, but it did kind of overwhelm my planning, and it just overwhelmed me in general. So it was really hard though, because I value friendships in both of those places, and I truly am a person who has a hard time saying no, and who's a people pleaser, and who I love very deep relationships and friendships, and we have that in both places. So it was really, really hard for me. So the next year I told our Friday group, I was like, well, we still want to stay close-knit with you guys, but we just can't commit to every Friday, you know, so let us know if there's any field trips that you do. So we did that, and we went on a couple of field trips, and so that was really good. And so at this point, we are no longer doing anything at all with that Friday group, and I miss them a ton, but we're still good friends, but it just wasn't a feasible thing for our family. So that was a quote fail. But when you have those moments, I don't feel like it's a fail. I feel like, oh, I learned something. Let's just adjust. Because unless you fail, how can you learn? So don't be down on yourself because you quote failed at school or failed at something in your homeschool. Just adjust, learn, and do something new. So the last thing that I want to address is about curriculum. Guys, if your curriculum just doesn't work or it just doesn't fit, it is okay to change. It's okay to change in the middle of the year even. I'll use this as an example for us. So again, I wouldn't necessarily call this a fail. I would call this an adjustment against something that just didn't work for us. And that is, one of my sons has really struggled with reading, and we think that there's some issues that are causing it, and so we're working through those issues, and we have finally found a reading system that is working. So with all that said, it took us 4 different reading programs to find the one that is actually working and making some improvements. And so that's an example of, if it doesn't work, like if it's just not flat out working, of course give whatever curriculum you are trying to use a good solid try. But if you see that it's just not gonna work, then there is absolutely nothing wrong with dropping it and moving on to something else that you think will work. One more thing that was a detriment to us that I learned very quickly is, don't overwhelm yourself with all the things. It is so easy to become enamored with all the different things out there. There are so many great programs, so many great activities, so many methods, so many styles, but you cannot possibly use them all. Something else that I've fallen into before, I jokingly call myself a curriculum junkie, and I truly am. If you saw the extent of everything that I have had over the years or do have in my storage or whatever, you would be like, oh my goodness, why are you even buying curriculum for some of your kids? Because I do. I have so many different types. That's awful. I'm a curriculum hoarder. I'm here to admit it. But I learned very, very quickly, it's silly to think that you can implement it all. You can't do all the things. I don't have the time, the energy, the resources, really, the ability to do it all. And so I actually have a video about it. I'll link it down below or pop a card up here. Either one, just look for it either place. But I have a video about where I talked about the thing that changed our homeschool the most. And that was, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the video, was simplifying our homeschool. Really and truly, you guys, it saved me so much. I'm sorry, there are sirens in the background. Craziness. I hope whatever's going on, I hope they're okay. I'm just gonna talk over it. But anyway, okay, so simplifying our homeschool is really what saved my sanity, and really I feel like what saved our homeschool, because I wasn't spread so thin that I couldn't focus on each subject for the kids. So what I quickly learned, again, spoiler alert, what I quickly learned with my kids, because I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but I'm a mom of 6 kids. My oldest is only 9. My youngest is getting ready to turn a year old. But one of the things that I have learned is just how versatile curriculum can be. So, and I've really learned to kind of embrace our curriculum as a guide, not as like not being a slave to my curriculum, but really just utilizing it in that I'm in control and I am using our curriculum to guide us along the way. And that right there in itself is a huge tip as far as all this goes. And just to avoid those homeschool fails is to remember that you as a parent are in control of homeschooling your children, really and truly. Even if you are umbrellaed with a co-op or something like that that dictates what your curriculum is, really and truly, you can still take that curriculum that you are having to use and you can still make adaptations that fit your family, your child, your style, all of the things. So don't overwhelm yourself by trying to do all the things and trying to use all those methods and use all those awesome, flashy curriculums out there. Not that there's, and I'm not speaking poorly about any curriculum out there. I'm just saying, for your sanity and for the sake of your homeschool and your family's homeschool, is to keep in mind that it's just not possible to be able to do everything out there. It's just not. And so simplifying really was something that once I did it, it streamlined our homeschool. That and switching to year-round homeschooling, that was so freeing, because I think that there's this preconceived notion that you have to finish out every curriculum that you do. Even public schools don't finish out their curriculum. I hope everybody realizes that, especially this year, obviously, because of the whole quarantine and all that kind of stuff. But really and truly, you guys, I don't know if you realize that, but public schools do not finish out their curriculum. And when I was teaching, I never did our entire curriculum. There's no way. It's not possible. There's too many things that come up. There's too many things to teach, all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying just like do a few lessons and be done at all. I mean, give it a good hard try, of course, and really try to stay focused and stick to it. But that was one thing that really helped that mentality in me, because I am a person that likes to check things off. I'm a box checker, big time. And so me realizing if my child did not finish the rest of their first grade math in first grade, and that we did carry it out through the summer or even into second grade, it's completely okay. And besides, there are some maths, that are more advanced than other maths, and, blah, blah, blah. So I saw a great meme for this, and I wish that I could remember exactly what it said, but it said something about, we have to catch up. We're behind. And it said something like, behind who? The beauty of homeschooling, you guys, is to make it work for you. And I'm not talking about just not schooling your kids. That's not what I mean. I'm saying really, truly investing, focusing, being intentional. Oh my word, those sirens. Sorry, guys. So just really focusing in on investing and being intentional with your children in their education. And while academics obviously are important, for me, the focus of our homeschool is really captivating the heart of our children and really trying to instill in them a love for learning and a love for the Lord. And I can't do that if I'm trying to do all the things. So thank you so much for sticking around with me, guys. And if you are new here, I would love if you would push that subscribe button and join me on future videos. Thank you so much, Joy, for hosting this collaboration. I have really enjoyed sitting down and chatting about our experience and learning about those fails, learning from those fails. That's the important part.